Morning, everybody. If anybody tells you there are no raccoons in Alberta, they're wrong. This is a real, not live, but real Alberta raccoon. I got a bunch of different plans I'm going to do with this guy. He's going to get parted out into a bunch of different projects, but today we're going to start with a shoulder mount. Alright, skinning this guy. You can see we're coming down here. This right here is the ear. So when you get to the ears, you want to cut up higher up than you think you need to. Cut that off. So if you cut it down here where you can see it, you're going to end up with a great big hole where your ear is supposed to be. And you have to fix it afterwards. So you want to cut it up high and leave some more of that cartilage onto the actual hide. Like here's that ear again. So you cut it down here where you can see it, you're gonna end up with a great big gaping hole you're gonna have to fix when you mount it. So if you cut it up higher, if I'm going 3/4 of an inch or more up higher than when you can actually see it, then you end up with just a little tiny hole there, and we can split the ears and do everything afterwards. We don't have a great big gaping hole we have to try and fix, which can be sometimes a little bit difficult to do. So keep working our way down. I think this guy might have got shot in the head, so that might make it a little interesting. Keep working our way down here. You can see there's the mouth opening. So again, when you get to the mouth, you want to make sure you're not cutting off any of the lips. Like here's, you can see there's the lower jaw. There's the corner of the mouth. So work your knife into there carefully. Mouth starting to open up a little bit. And hit the eyes here pretty quick too. That's another spot you want to pay attention. So what I'll actually do sometimes like this is I'm sticking my finger into that eye and pulling it away like that so that it keeps pressure on it. There's the eye hole starting to show up there. There. Now we have a nice eye. We've got our inner eyelid still attached. Same to the other one. Again, there's my fingertip kind of doing that pulling back like this. And keep that pressure on the eye, on the inside. There we go again. Got the other eye there, and everything's good. I don't think he got a bunch of bruising on his head. I'm not sure. I thought that was a bullet hole at first, but it doesn't actually look like it right now. So I'm not sure where that came from. But now we're just going to keep steady pressure on it, pulling it down, and working our way towards the end of the nose. Making sure again that we're keeping all the lips and everything on. Make sure I keep as much cartilage on there as I can. You can always remove stuff afterwards if you want to, but you can't put it back as easily. So. Lower jaw, same thing. You may have to, I got my thumb in here kind of holding his mouth open, because those teeth will sometimes block your knife a little bit and end up cutting some of the lip off if you're not careful. So slow with it. There. Got all the lips all the way around. No big holes. So perfect. Alright, next thing we're gonna do is flesh this guy. Raccoons are very fatty and oily, so I always make sure I throw lots of sawdust on top of them. It just helps absorb some of that fat and grease. And as well helps your fleshing knife grip onto that fat, so work a little better for you. Make sure if you're going to work on a raccoon, you have plenty of sawdust available to you because you're going to need it. See all that fat and stuff that's coming out of there. All that has to come off. This is our front leg here, in case anybody's wondering what the big hole is. Cause of death, 22. Okay, so for around the ears, we're gonna have to split those. So start with that. I just kind of cut some of this extra meat and stuff off of here. It's easier sometimes to do this with your knife than it is the fleshing knife. You just got to keep pressure on it, and you can see the little white kind of membrane-y thing pops up as you put pressure in there. You want to do that till you get all the way to the edge of the ear, as close to it as you can anyway. Ideally you want to go all the way, but sometimes there's reasons you don't go as far as you can get it. That's helps that ear dry out a little bit better so the hair doesn't fall out of it. Do the same on the other side, and then I'll start working on the lips. I got the other ear turned, so now I'm gonna do the nose and the lips. So for the nose, just skin all around that cartilage. Careful not to cut through it. Take this down pretty much to the bottom. With my thumb, I'm pretty close to being, I'm kind of pushing up with my thumb hard. right off of there. Look at the nose. There's still all that inner nose thing, you can still see that, but we'll end up packing this full of clay to try and get it to hold its shape while it's drying. So as for the lips, the normal course of action that I've usually taken with bigger animals is to split the lips, tuck the lips and everything, but if you watched my squirrel video, I did kind of the old school way of sewing the lips shut. I've never done it on a big animal or a bigger animal than a squirrel, so I thought I would give it a try on this raccoon just to see how it works. Still kind of split the lips a little bit, clean all this extra stuff off here. Oops. I'm not going to split them kind of like the way you would normally do it. I'm just going to cut this extra meat off, and then we'll try sewing it, and we'll see how it ends up looking. I've never tried it, and I want to know. So, lucky for you, you guys have me to do this stuff for you, so if it screws up, it's on me, and you guys don't have to worry about it. If it works great, then you know. So, for this guy, I'm going to start right in the middle here. Kind of try and catch the lip halfway through. Something like that. Theoretically, according to my brain, the way it's working right now, if I kind of go halfway through the lip, you should still be able to see the lip. I turn it right side out, you'll still be able to, two halves of top and bottom will rub together. So you should be able to still see it, so it should still look normal. It should bring them together really nicely. So we will see. The other half of the lip sewed up same way, then we'll try turning it right side out and see how that looks. Okay, so I got all the lips sewed up there. On this side it looks good, so I'll flip her around and see how it looks. A little bit of pins and some molding, we can make that look pretty freaking good. Just doing the test fit on my form. I've had to modify it a bit just to narrow it up, because I think I made the mold off of a big male raccoon, so I had to sand it down quite a bit. But see, as an initial test fit, it's looking pretty good, and those lips actually, once it's on the form, they're kind of more or less in position. I'm really happy with the way that looks. should take a minimum amount of effort to touch them up, and hoping once it dries that looks as good as it looks now. So yeah, I'm happy with the way the head part of the form is fitting now. So I'm going to go on to starting to build the kind of neck and shoulder area. Normally when I'm making a form for something, I do it right after I skin it, and that way I've got the body laying there and I can match the form up to the body exactly. However, I actually skinned this guy a couple weeks ago, put it in the freezer, and I have since gotten rid of the body, so I'm going to have to build this thing kind of by feel. So I've got the foam part of the head in there, and I'm just going to start putting some of this stuff together and kind of filling it in and getting it kind of the rough shape I want, and then I'll tie it all together after that. So it's not as efficient for sure, but that's what happens when you're kind of in a hurry. Sometimes you forget to do things you should do. So, not a big deal, we will make it work. Start off with this for the neck, a little bit bigger than that. I think the snow plows are going out back. You can hear that horrible scraping noise. Of course, today's the day they decided to start working the back alley behind the shop here. Sew those front legs up, but that'll work, I think. Pretty happy with the way that's looking. The best way to sew up these front legs is you essentially make the opening like a pouch. So I'm going to just sew all the way around, kind of in a circle. I'm just sticking the needle not even all the way through to the fur side. I'm just sticking it through the leather like this. And these stitches don't have to be crazy close together. You don't want them like an inch apart the whole way, but like ½ inch, a little bit more, all the way around. What we're going to do at the end is pull this thread tight, and it's just going to pull the whole opening together, kind of like a pouch essentially. So take these stitches right close up to the first one, and then just pull that all tight. Let's tie it off. I already did the other one, so I'll show you what it looks like when you first do it versus after you clean it up a little bit. Of course, I'm trying to tie this. My fingers are all greasy and slippery. So I give this a couple knots. I'll give it one more here just for good measure. Cut those off, leave your strings long. Doesn't matter, it's all gonna be inside. So when you first do that, you can see it kind of pulls all the hair in there. All you gotta do is just take something like this and start pulling the hair out of it. Like that. And then you can see once you do that, here's the other one here. You can't even tell it's there. So I'll clean this one up a little bit more, but you can see doing it that way, it just pulls all the hair together and you end up with a relatively seamless look where those front legs are. Alright, next thing we gotta do is borax this whole thing. So you want to make sure you get the borax over the entire hide, all the little folds and everything. Make sure the ears, make sure you push those all the way. Make sure there's no folds that aren't getting it, because you want to make sure this borax is on there, because that's what's going to dry it out. With the nose, I'm going to try to really push that nose out. Put that all in there. I'll dry that out. Around the eyes, the lips. Curious to see how those end up drying. So far, pretty happy with it. And then just coat the whole hide. That borax over the entire thing. So the next part with this formula, I got to put some kind of a piece of wood on the back here, and that's what's going to actually give me something I can staple the hide to secure it in place. So I'm going to put a bit of glue. This is just crafting glue, like white glue. Put a bit of that on the back. I've marked top. Just screw that into place. You gotta be careful you don't over screw it. There. The strings are coming off here. That's okay. If you have something like that start to happen, just take some tape. Put a line of tape over that. I'll hold that in place. So one screw, we're going to put a couple more. This doesn't have to be like crazily screwed. What's going to be holding in place ultimately is the staples and the hide pulling it. It's just to give us something, one, to staple that hide to, and then two, give us something solid to screw our plaque into that'll actually hold. Because if we just screwed straight into this and helped out, that would hold it to a wall, it ain't gonna happen. So the hide gets attached to this, so this will be all secure, and then the plaque is tied to this, and that gets tied to the wall. So next thing we got to do is get a wire to attach that head to the body. So about here. That. So I want this. Run this wire in the bed. Bend over so we lock it in place. So I've got a hook on the top, hook on the bottom, so it's all wired in. That gives me the freedom. I can still move that head exactly where I want it, but it's not going to go anywhere. So at this point, our form is looking pretty good. Last thing we got to do, hide before it's ready, is we're just going to throw some Bondo into the ears. That's going to help hold them into position. So we don't need much. That's probably not quite too much, but especially for these small ears that are wrapping. We're going to just mix up some of this Bondo. Make sure you wear gloves when you're doing this. You don't want to get this crap on your hands. Mix it up really good. And then put my finger up inside here. I'm just gonna coat that ear with Bondo. Try and get it everything. And then pull it back here, and then we're gonna kind of work that Bondo up into the ear. Make sure you don't get folds. If you just kind of push it like this, you get these folds. You want to make sure you kind of work it up and then work it back down so that your ear doesn't get those weird folds in it. You want your ear to stay the right shape and everything. So do the same on the other side. Smear that Bondo around the whole thing. Push it back the right way. Out. You can see if you have any little holes in your ears, see that Bondo squeezing out. So if you do see that, it's not a huge deal. Try and get some of it off if you can. But you can always touch it up with some paint after the fact. So this stuff dries pretty quick, typically. So just kind of keep working that. Make sure you get it all the way to the edges. Make sure your ears are right shapes. Look at them. So you have a bit of time to work with this stuff, but not a crazy amount. So it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna leave that. Let that dry up. Alright, set the eyes. First, put some clay down. With the eyes, doesn't matter what animal you're mounting, it's really important to get those eyes set right, because if you don't, it doesn't, the whole mount just won't look right. So you gotta know, that's where reference photo is really important. You gotta look, like, do the eyes and animal face forward, do they face out, like, every animal's eyes are a little different, so reference photos are really important to make sure that everything's looking the way it should. Like a raccoon, their eyes are pretty well facing forward. So if you stick them in there so they're kind of facing out like this, Your raccoon's not going to look right. You got to make sure those eyes are facing the right direction. Got these eyes I painted black. They come just blank, just with the people. So wire isn't quite that long. Stick it down through that clay. The position I made for it there. This one. Build a little bit more clay up around those eyes. Good. It's just about time to put this guy on the form. The ears are stiffened up pretty good. There's a tiny bit of flex in them, so I can a little bit of adjustment left, but they're pretty much going to be where they're going to be. So I'm going to flip this guy inside out, right up into the nose here. I'm actually going to take some of this glue. Fill that nose with that glue because it dries nice and hard. A little bit. Lips. Eyes relatively stay in place. Could have left the wires on a little bit longer, would have probably helped. Just push that nose down into the form here. Work that down. Good. I'll make sure you keep the hide tight. Wrinkles or anything in it, so. grab the stapler, staple that. I'll pin the eyes in place a little bit first. Just make sure they don't move too far good. Okay, yeah, we'll grab the stapler and tack that hide in place in the back. So the hide on the bottom, shorter than on the top, so I'm going to tack it there first. Onto the mounting stand here. So start pinning this guy in place. Looking pretty good. Gonna brush out afterwards, smooth everything out. Roll. Very nice. So, we're gonna put some pins around the eyes. Hold those where they need to be. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of tuck around the eye. I have a few different tools I use for tucking and positioning stuff. It's good to have options. That happened before. Other eye. Second eye is always a little bit harder because you got to make sure it matches up to the first one. The first one you can just do. The second one, super important that it looks the same as the first one. So if you don't match it up, Raccoon's gonna look a little cockeyed wherever you're mounting, and it won't look right. So take your time with it, make sure everything lines up and matches the way it's supposed to look. You have a little bit of time with these eyes too to adjust as it's drying, so I'll definitely come check on it this afternoon. I'm sure as it dries, the eyes kind of shrink up a little bit. You can kind of position them back where they're supposed to be. So. This eye is a little bit off, so I'm just going to straighten it out a little bit. Better. This is definitely the most important part, is the eyes, because that's what gives the form or the animal life. So if you screw that up, screw the whole thing up. Put a pin in the nose here, just kind of help keep that tight as that glue in there dries. I don't want it to move too much. Good. His lips are actually sitting quite nice. I'm pretty happy with how that's looking so far. I just put a pin kind of in the corner of each. Here, just to kind of make sure it doesn't move too much as it's drying. But pretty happy with that, actually. Wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but it turned out pretty nice. Ears. One on each, just to see if they looks good. Kind of want to turn the head a little bit. Just that, even that slight little turn off the side just gives it that little bit more illusion of being an actual animal, as opposed to you just have that straight on look. It's kind of not a real natural pose for an animal, so I like doing just that, even a little slight turn just helps at this point, I'm gonna throw a fan on it. This guy's been drying for a few weeks, so it's time to start pulling out the pins. Overall, I'm very impressed with how the mouth looks using that sewing method. I'm very happy with that. So I might start using that a little more often on some of the... This is more of a medium-sized animal, but might do an experiment someday to try it on a large animal just to see how it looks. But yeah, I'm quite impressed with how well that turned out. Alright, I'm gonna give this guy a quick blow with the air gun and get all the dust off of him. I'm really impressed with how well furred these raccoons are too. But, yeah, that cleans them up pretty nice. So there's a little bit of touch-up paint around the eyes and the nose. I don't even know if I need to really touch the mouth much at all. Yeah, this guy's turning out really nice. I'm very happy with this. It's time to paint this guy, so all I'm going to do is just some black airbrush paint around the eyes. Just kind of touching around the edge of it, just kind of blend in. Around there, doesn't take much. And a little bit on the nose. Just using it very lightly, doesn't take much paint, and trying to avoid as much overspray as possible. Looking good. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch the mouth, it looks fine. So, yeah, that's pretty much all it needs, really. More there. And then what I'm going to do is grab a Q-tip. Just on the actual eyeball itself, I'm just going to take the Q-tip and kind of clean as much paint off of it while it's still wet as I can off the actual glass part of the eye. You can always clean it off after it's dry too, but it just, if you can get it off while it's still wet, it's way easier to do. It just brings that shine back to the eyes again. Next thing I gotta do with this guy is put him onto a plaque. So I've got kind of a weird shaped plaque here, but my plan is I've got these guys here. I'm gonna put something like this. I have the raccoon in the middle there coming out of it, so just kind of frames him around. So first thing I'm gonna do is kind of roughly place everything where it needs to be, and I'll tack it with the air gun and then screw it solid afterwards. So it's gonna look something like that. I think will look pretty good. I'm happy with that, I think. It'll look roughly like that. So far I'm really liking the way that's looking. So, next thing I gotta do, I'm gonna hang this on the wall and mark where the raccoon needs to be so it's looking straight. So, how about where it's at actually? Turn just like that. Okay, so here is the final shoulder mount raccoon. Really happy with the way this guy turned out. That mouth sewing method worked better than I thought it was going to, so I'm probably going to be using that on some future projects.